Hey everyone, this is Mike Lowe and welcome back. We are in episode 2 of my Saints franchise. If you missed episode 1, it was kind of a hybrid episode where we went through the franchise setup that I'm using, some of the suggestions I have, even trying to, extinguish a few Madden myths that I see kind of floating around about how franchise mode plays. But if you missed that episode, check it out because it's going to really get you caught up here to what we're doing here, which is probably getting through the first quarter of the season potentially. We're going to certainly look at some highlights here of the first few games. I'm going to talk about just kind of general game planning. We'll kind of check in between each game, but without further ado, let's jump into episode 2. I want to talk about game planning, and there's a number of ways you can do this. That's really up to you. You can study your roster and your playbook and know it inside out. You can study your opponent's roster and so on. However you want to do it, that's not really my point. I think just taking some time to do it is what's important. And what I do is I write a few things down. I actually send myself a text message because a lot of times I won't play the game the same day. Maybe I'm scouting it because there's other stuff going on. And so it just helps to remember a few things for me to keep in mind as I play this game. So for instance, against the Titans, and I just have a short list. It's not 20 things. It's like 3 or 4 things I just want to keep in mind. I don't want to overwhelm myself with too much to think about. Because Derrick Henry's their running back, we are going to be using conservative tackle. So that's obviously super important. We are also going to be using our cornerbacks versus just we're going to sort them by overall into the game. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. This game, it just seemed to match up pretty well with their receivers that we are going to be doing that. We want to make sure we're running away from Jeffrey Simmons. They rotate him around, it looks like, according to their depth chart. He'll play on the inside, he'll play on the outside, but mostly it looks like to be kind of inside, even on that left side a little bit. So we want to make sure we're running away from 98, and we can, I really think, take advantage of their defense by actually spreading our offense, like using some wide formations, but still running, and even running outside. I think running outside could be, even though it's not something I do a lot, I think it could be a vulnerability for them that I'm going to look to expose. The other note I have is just to avoid their safeties, especially Kevin Baird. I don't want to test their safeties. I mean, if something pops open, sure, maybe, especially with Olave or something like that, or Robbie Chosen, who we grabbed off the Miami practice squad. We'll keep an eye out, but don't force it. Even though Derek Carr can throw a decent deep ball, I don't need to force it. Just try to stay within. I do think we can beat this team. If we can establish some runs, we can complete some short passes, if we can shut their offense down and kind of make them uncomfortable and contain Derrick Henry, I think we'll be okay. Those are famous last words when you're playing on All-Madden when some of the sliders are jacked up to like 95 and 98. It's a little bit terrifying. So nonetheless, that's kind of the game plan. I at least wanted to talk about the importance of game planning. I like this team. I think it could be a lot of fun here. And again, I think the expectations from what I can just see from some of the news stories around the league is that this should be a playoff team that could potentially make some noise. Week 1 has us Titans at Saints.
Looking at 2 teams with great expectations here to begin 2023.
I talked about how I'm going to be using cornerbacks overall. In the tackling, we're actually going to go conservative here against Derrick Henry.
So here come the Saints to take over for the first time. And here's the new man under center after 9 seasons as a Raider. On 3rd down, here's Camaro. And he's got a first down as he's up to the 48.
Keeping it really simple here, one of the goals of this game is just to try to get momentum and keep it on our side.
Now they'll try and set up the quarterback draw here. 14 yards that time.
Kind of a case of just taking what they give you.
Absolutely huge with the play he just made.
We have new rule changes, and we got a few for 2023. A lot are procedural, having to do with deadlines and roster construction and such. But and now he lost the football. Tannehill loses it. Oh, one of the linemen on the other side has got it. And while all of that was going on, we have an injured player.
There's a lot going on this play. Wow.
Well, they come out and take a look.
That might have been my best user blitz I've ever had. We injured the quarterback. Let's look at the replay on this. That is a wild, wild play. Timed up the blitz perfectly here and just, wow. I mean, actually got to the quarterback before the handoff. I don't think it was play. I look at everybody's blocking, so that was not a play action. Tannehill's hurt. Gets back up. Maybe he got hurt here. Oh, yeah, look at that. You can see his leg kind of that's kind of neat. Yikes.
For it on 4th and goal. So they got another play in their pocket.
They'll go for it. It's Carr. He's got Smith here. And he'll be taken down, but he does have first.
A little risky there, but looking at the advanced metrics, 4th and 5 at the 48, go for it.
In the half, here's the field goal unit onto the field. This is less than an extra point, just a 19-yard attempt. Folks, kick is good. They'll try and start this drive in the air. And that is incomplete. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. And
Be set up in great shape for 1st and goal.
Henry will score. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Short, shallow, going through defenders, using guys almost as screens in order to get.
And he takes it across and into the end zone. Touchdown, Saints. Levis to throw off play action. Going deep for Hopkins. And it's a Titans touchdown.
Serve as much as possible.
That is caught by Olave. Touchdown, New Orleans. A great play there. 26 yards. And the Saints have made it a one-score game again here in the 4th. He'd go for 2. And he is not going to get in here. Levis to throw it. That's to Bergson. He's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee. A great effort there. Laying himself out in the end zone. And the Titans are looking good here in the season opener as they're able to extend their lead. Now Carr, gotta have this one. They'll try and lay this out for Chosen. They've got his man complete.
And this is not just a 1st down, but a big play as well.
Meanwhile, Carr's throw caught by Olave. And down he goes, taking. Now Carr. And this is caught now for a late touchdown. So hold everything here. This one's not over yet. Okay, so they got the score. Do you go for 1 here and save the possible 2-point conversion for later?
I think you do, because if you go for 2 here and you don't get it, that's deflation.
Yeah.
Now you wonder why you're even going for it. Take the easy one now and come back and try and get it later.
That's caught. But he will not get into the end zone. Maybe a few more attempts at running.
I think stats over time may bear out that running the ball will at least be the equal of throwing it in that situation.
It's over prior to this upcoming 2nd down play. He's going to get it again. Just looking to get forward and protect the ball. Touchdown, Titans. Throwing his car on 3rd down. Flushed out right. Our early window games here in week 1 on a Sunday comes to a close. Good to be back in the booth with you, my friend.
Not everyone's going to start the season 1-0, right? Half the league is going to have a loss on their record, but everyone's going to have to build off of that.
Well, that was a tough loss. Derrick Henry didn't surprise me. I mean, this year, just kind of my first reactions here at the end of the game. Our offense came to play in the second half, much, much better. We were probably a little too timid, a little too conservative in the first half. And just, even though we had a game plan around Derrick Henry, he still ate us up pretty well. 160 rushing yards for the Titans to go along with 300 passing yards from rookie Will Levis. So that's probably the surprise of the game. We'll look at those stats in a second when we get to the player stats. But you look here, if you look at my side, it's not bad. 396, 111, 285 for passing, 22 first downs. Problem is when you look at the other side, 460, 160, 323 first downs. So it's just, you feel bad for the offense. They did enough probably to win potentially. The defense just really struggled today. 3rd downs, neither team was very good. 4th down, we were 3 or 4. Again, we're going to be very aggressive on 4th down using those advanced metric charts. Same thing with 2-point conversions. We were 0 for 2. Didn't really make a difference there much. Penalties, even with the aggressive holding, we had 2 holdings, 3 penalties total. So seemed to be pretty realistic. And I don't mind that because it kind of offsets my ability to kind of run around like a chicken with its head cut off sometimes on defense. So I kind of consider that, I guess, equal. I will turn that on, get maybe a few more penalties than they would in a played game, but of course it'll help me kind of keep pace with the simulated games. And then I'm doing things like probably calling more audibles than the AI does, things like that, going for 2 more 4th downs. So to me, it balances out. Anyway, Derek Carr versus Will Levis. Who'd have thought rookie Will Levis comes in off the bench in the first quarter and just is lights out. 370 yards, 2 touchdowns. Otherwise, the quarterbacks, kind of played pretty similar games. 73% versus 62 when we look at Levis versus Carr. Average per attempt was about the same. Their long was just about the same. But certainly wasn't expecting to see that. Rushing, Kamara did okay. Jamal Williams did a little bit of the dirty work, not a great game. Derek Carr, a couple intelligent scrambles there I was happy with. Fullback had a nice conversion run earlier in the game. And again, Titans, 14 carries. So, that's nice. But it's 143 yards. It's 10 yards. And you saw me miss a tackle. Even with conservative tackles, he was still breaking 5 tackles there. So he's just an absolute monster to bring down. 6'3", 247. Had 2 scores. Otherwise, of course, the run game wasn't really much there outside of Derrick Henry, but that's all they need, obviously. Receiving game for them, really a 2-man show. Conwu was awesome. 11 catches, 143, just quietly. Like, all of his catches seem to be around 13, 14 yards. Just super consistent. DeAndre Hopkins, I probably gave up a ball over my head a little bit there on that 1 touchdown. But again, just kind of chipped away at us there. Otherwise, it was just, some check down passes, nothing crazy, but those 2 were certainly enough. They had a couple drops, it looks like. On the Saints side for receiving, Traquan Smith, really consistent. He's our wide receiver 3, but I have my notes on him just that he is just a well-rounded receiver. He can do a little bit of everything, and he showed that today. 6 catches, 85 yards, really consistent. He had a drop that was probably me throwing more into coverage, which we didn't do a lot today, so I wouldn't even really put that drop on him. Kamara, again, out of the backfield, 6 catches, 45 yards. Was hoping he would maybe pop something a little bit, not a ton. Olave, I should say, had a much better second half, I guess, especially fourth quarter with the touchdown, 4 catches, 84 yards. But a lot of that was kind of in garbage time. We really needed it to pop a little bit more. He didn't pop until Michael Thomas went down. I talked about injuries in episode 1. Michael Thomas is a guy that I have kind of flagged as he's going to be hard to keep on the field, and we already see it. He had 1 catch, 9 yards, hurt, out for the game. Olave fit pretty well into that wide receiver 1 spot, so that was nice. After that, the only really thing, we had Robbie Chosen, who I mentioned in episode 1. We got off the Dolphins practice squad. This is going to be his game. He had 1 catch for 49 yards. If there's something there, we kind of run him deep, and it's there. We'll hit it, and we did today. So I think we maybe threw to him twice today. So that's fine. That's what we're looking for out of him. He's just kind of a mismatched speed receiver there. I really think one of the more telling lines isn't just the way their defense played versus ours, but I guess when we look under the hood a little bit more, we got 1 sack. They had 4. And so that was certainly part of it. I did not throw into coverage too much. Sean Murphy Bunting had 2 pass defended. Again, I kind of threw into coverage on 1, so maybe you could call that 3 with that 1 drop they gave to Smith. And we just had the 1, but again, we just didn't get any pressure. And we were blitzing, but we had to really be careful selling out on the pass because I had to respect the run, even though they didn't run it a ton. Just when they did, it was just like trying to stop a tank. So that's the story of the game. Is just our defense just like we stuck to the game plan, but it just didn't work. It just did not work. They had a rookie quarterback come in. Like, this is a bit of a disaster first game. A rookie quarterback comes in, outplays us. They put up 37 points, and I don't know. It's just frustrating. Probably a little too conservative in the first half. Started to open it up a little bit more, but the defense is the name of the story here. Wanted to talk really quick about player upgrade. So here we have Derek Carr. And a lot of times I think we're really quick just to jump into like one of 2 things. You either go, hey, you know what? I want him to be strong arm. I'm going to force this. This is the offense I want to run, whether that's today or tomorrow. Or you're just going to say, you know what? He's a field general. Let's just keep going with this. And I want to kind of talk through my strategy because I do both. It really just depends. What I can tell you is I don't make the decision on this screen. I don't just jump in and just say, oh yeah, here's what we're going to do. I really try to think about a few things. First, his position, right? So Derek Carr is a quarterback. He's 32 years old, though. He is star development, but 32. He is what he is at this point. I'm not going to turn him into anything that he's not at 32. His throwing power is 91. I would like that to be higher, but at the end of the day, it's not worth forcing anything. He's kind of I don't even know what I'd call this, but like kind of that inside-out passer, I guess, or like deep short. He doesn't throw mid all that well, or at least not as well as the others. So again, you really want to just kind of spend a second to say, okay, well, what's going to help here? And so this would help. This would even help his mid, but it would certainly help improve his short and deep accuracy too. whereas this is going to help with his throw power a little bit. Throw power with quarterbacks is kind of like speed. You don't always get that bump every time, especially when the player gets older. And so that can be a little bit tough. And see, what I'm missing here is that short accuracy upgrade. So for me, I am going to stick with field general here. So again, this isn't like earth-shatteringly, I'm not revealing anything here you probably haven't thought about, but I'm not going to force Derek Carr to be sort of the strong arm quarterback I want him to be. Now, if he was 22 with Star Dev, maybe I would. Maybe I would start to kind of craft him a little bit more for the future. But this is what we're doing with Derek Carr. We're going field general upgrade, and we'll see what we get here. So +2 awareness is always very, very helpful. Throw accuracy deep, throw accuracy mid. So we don't get the short anyway. But regardless, this is probably pretty similar of an update that we would have gotten regardless of what we did. And I think that makes sense. If you think about kind of the upgrades, think about it as like a funnel that you'd use to like, put oil in your car or something. It as the player gets older, those updates kind of funnel. It starts to narrow more. Again, you're not going to suddenly see Derek Carr pop off like +5 throwing power or your wide receiver jump +4 speed. That might happen more when they're younger. It just doesn't typically happen that way. I forgot to mention during that game was that we actually had 3 injuries to our offensive line. We had our left tackle, left guard, and center all go down in that game. Now, it looks like they're all going to be healthy, but look who's hurt. Michael Thomas out for 4 weeks with a foot fracture. So already off the bat, kind of my big body receiver, the guy I wanted to use on things like RPOs or like around the goal line on slants. I mean, he's perfect for this. But you have to pay attention to some of these other ratings. 76 is bad. It's worse than the 77 we talked about in episode 1 on that free agent corner I passed on. And so I'm stuck with Michael Thomas. I didn't sign him. He was already on the Saints, of course. And I still like him. He's a good player, but this is not a player I would have signed in free agency, and this is why. So he's out for the next month. He's essentially going to miss 5 games because he barely played in week 1. And you could tell it really hurt the game plan of him complementing Chris Olave or vice versa. He was a big part of what we're trying to do in offense, and now we're going to have to adjust. All right, so we regroup. Week 2, we're going to be heading to Carolina to face a rookie quarterback. So although it's a rookie quarterback, it's a road game, so there's no gimmies, but just kind of looking at the general team overall, we do have some advantages there. And yeah, I think just it's worth talking about in your franchise too, but like you don't need to reinvent the wheel if you start off 0-1, even if you get beat pretty handedly. And so, stick with your game plan. I mean, that's really kind of the case for a few weeks here. I mean, you certainly make adjustments week to week with the team based on your opponent and based on injuries and things like that. But you don't need to reinvent yourself, I guess. It's something maybe best served for a full-on off-season when you're having a lot of turnover and things like that. And we're going to have a lot more to talk about that for sure coming up. I've looked ahead a little bit. This team's got a lot of problems with salary cap issues. We're going to be looking at that a little bit closer. I mentioned before that I have the trade deadline, or I have trades turned off right now, but I'll be turning those on after my week 4 game. And then kind of giving teams a few weeks to put some trades together and things like that. And I think we're gonna need to figure something out. It's really gonna depend where we're at, but we have some massive problems. Like I can't even do contract extensions right now because our team is projected to be like negative $26 to $30 million next year as things currently stand. And that does take into consideration things like the money that they're setting aside for your rookie draft class and things like that. But that's another issue. We have a first-round pick, then I think there's like a big gap with the Saints until the 5th round, or maybe we have a second rounder or something. But we don't have a ton of draft picks either. So the easiest way to kind of get players on the cheap is through the draft. And we have some issues because we have cap problems and we don't have any draft picks. So anyway, that's going to be another topic there. But looking ahead at Carolina, it's a team that, we're not going to reinvent ourselves here. I think we're just going to try and just be more consistent. Really try to keep momentum on our side. That's a key you're going to continue to hear me talk about in this series, and especially on All-Madden. It's super important. You really need to ensure you're not getting behind the 8 ball with all of that. Quick look at Carolina's injury report. Nothing too crazy. Got a right guard out. Little depth pieces here and there. And really the last thing to take a look at, kind of unrelated to the game, is really more just looking around, especially in owner mode, taking a look at things. But again, just like I said with your game plan and approach, just like we're doing for week 2 here, you don't need to get too crazy with this early on. You don't have a lot of analysis at this point, and we've had 1 game. And so it's really hard to kind of gauge what's really happening. But it is something you want to check in from time to time, maybe to set some reminders for yourself. Maybe that's each quarter of the season. Maybe that's midway. Or maybe you just go through it the whole season and just kind of let it roll, and you get a lot of data just kind of by keeping things kind of stagnant there. So I'm just kind of fast forwarding through this section here and just kind of showing you that, there's lots of options here. You'll be able to expand on things and upgrade stadiums. Our stadium's in really, really rough shape. I talked about that in episode 1. And I think right now we're not really looking to do too much to kind of reinvent things here. Really just keeping an eye in income expenses. It looks okay right now, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem in 2024. And that's probably going to be more tied into episode 3 when we start looking at that around that time of the season. So, talking about Carolina a little bit more, our week 2 opponent. Of course, we talked about Bryce Young, rookie quarterback. We want to try to make him uncomfortable with some of their key players here. Left tackle, who I'm not even going to try to say his name. I will. Ekwonu, I guess. You guys can make fun of me. So, the offensive lineman, you don't need to game plan too much around. I just try to think of it as like, well, we don't want to be blitzing or maybe like expecting a ton of pass rush to this person's side of the offensive line and things like that. So kind of the flip side is you look to try and create pressure from the other side and kind of build around that a little bit as far as like defensive line and maybe using stunts here and there or anything like that. Of course, on defense, they have Brian Burns. And with him, it's just a case of, again, just trying to contain him, just being smart about maybe chip blocking, giving some help on his side of the field. And it sounds silly, but one of the easiest ways you can do this, especially deeper into your franchise when you don't know all the players just like you do in real life, is just knowing their jersey number. It's going to be easy to spot them. I try to keep a lot of visuals turned off in my franchise just to kind of keep that clean screen that a lot of people like. So I'll be keeping an eye out for sure for Brian Burns and just really thinking about the time I'm spending in the pocket, because you can't just sit there forever and expect to just not get just smacked around by a guy like this. Well, without further ado, it's going to be week 2. It's the Saints at Panthers. We talked a little bit about it, and really the key here on this Monday Night Football game is just keeping with the game plan. We don't need to reinvent ourselves. Let's jump in.
BA Sports coverage of the National Football League is in Uptown Charlotte, North Carolina at Bank of America Stadium. Tonight, it's the first of 2 here on this Monday night, as it'll be the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. Look at this Panther ball club as they interplay here. They come in off a good win on the road, and now they hit the home opener at 1-0.
And going back through the tape, I thought they looked pretty good last week. It was a solid win, a comprehensive win.
Meanwhile, for the visiting Saints, they were losers their last time out. They're going to try to get back in the win column, but obviously they're going to have to do that in a hostile environment.
We're going to go with match zone coverage here. Our team plays good zone collectively. Let's see how it goes.
So here come the Saints to take over for the first time. And here's the new man under center after 9 seasons as a Raider, Derek Carr.
The field on 3rd down.
The kick by Pinheiro is good. Now Young. He's got it for a Panther touchdown.
Now with a short passing game, you should be above 60% just to be in the average range.
So that kick gives them their first points of the game, CD, and it comes on the 3rd drive, but hopefully for them that's a spark that gets that offense going. Now, throwing, Young, able to find the open man. That's complete. Touchdown, Carolina! Hayden Hurst, 40 yards. And the Panthers' decision to go for it pays off with 6 points. His first career touchdown pass the ball. They'll throw again. Young. Touchdown Panthers. Jonathan Mingo with his first career NFL touchdown. And the Panthers take a 3-touchdown lead. For this offensive unit, they were solid in the opening week victory, and now they are looking just as sharp. Second half action underway. Oh, a good-looking return set up here. He's past the 30. He will score. Touchdown, Carolina.
That being said, this task is near impossible. Let's face it. And bottom line is, it officially becomes impossible.
Oh, and a bad throw there. It's intercepted. And Xavier Woods. Camaro will score. Touchdown, New Orleans. Good start to the season for him. He had the touchdown last week in the opener and a second one in week 2 now. On 2nd down, here's Carr. That is caught by Olave. Touchdown, New Orleans. A great effort there. His second touchdown on the season. And the Saints are able to cut into this deficit here in the final minute of the third. Well, that's about as quick of a passing touchdown as you'll ever see right there. From the shotgun, it's Young. And he's got it. Touchdown, Panthers. Jonathan Mingo with his second touchdown of the night. And the Panthers are on their way to a 2-0 start.
Stiffen, forget that bend don't break. Now they don't even want to let them get a yard, do they? So
this one is over. A victory for Carolina. And when you break it down, this was just a thoroughly dominating performance.
And I truly thought that we'd have a tight game coming into this one.
Well, this week 2 game was a tough one. We just got our butts kicked, and it's not going to get much easier in week 3, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The story, we just can't stop their pass. I mean, this has kind of been the story of the last 2 weeks. 21 points for them in the second quarter. We hung around in the second half with them for sure, but you can't win giving up 41 points. You can't win giving up 37 or whatever it was in week 1, and that's what we've had the first 2 weeks. So just getting smoked through the air. We're gonna have to make some changes. We just game calling, scheme, whatever it is, we're gonna have to make some adjustments there. We had the one interception. It didn't really impact the game a whole lot. I mean, by that point we were pretty far behind, and it's just not pretty. Penalties, I mentioned I'm a little bit aggressive with the holding, and it kind of bit us this game. I think we had 3 holding calls, and it hurt. So I've really been trying to kind of pick and choose when I want to use it, like a 3rd and long, that kind of thing, where you really, really need that extra time. Go in there and maybe make those adjustments. It's quick player stats. I mean, Bryce Young was just lights out. He looked like an absolute legend of a quarterback in this game. 65% isn't great per se, but still pretty good. And certainly 358, 4 touchdowns, only the 1 sack, 8.1 yards per attempt. Derek Carr, not a great game. 57%, definitely played better in week 1. And was playing from behind a lot, and they were just kind of able to tee off. Luckily, they didn't actually sack us at all this game, so that definitely helped. Panthers' run game kept it in check. I mean, I would have been satisfied with this, I think, to start the week, but did not matter. Our run game was, again, decent and was productive at least, but it's just playing from behind. It doesn't really make a big difference. Chris Olave, another nice game, 84 yards and a touchdown. Spread the ball around. Okay, we've definitely been kind of going to these 3 guys pretty heavily so far this season with some just complementary players in other places. Don't see the drops here. I don't think we had many, maybe 1. I forget now. Their box score for passing is going to look pretty rough. Mingo, career day, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. Their tight end, 107 yards and a touchdown, averaged 21.4 per catch. I mean, that's all they needed. Thielen was consistent, made the grabs he needed to make. And 4 touchdowns for Bryce Young tells you all you need to know to kind of go along again with the defense I mentioned. They didn't sack us, which is great. Had the 1 interception. And we just weren't getting pressure either. And you can make the argument like, well, they didn't either. They didn't sack me. And they absolutely smoked us. But to me, if we're going to win an All-Madden, we have to get some pressure. So believe it, this week we're going to be bringing more pressure. However, it's going to be a little harder to bring pressure when Cam Jordan's out for the next 6 weeks after we advance here, but not good. Injuries really causing some issues. Going to make a bad defense even worse. We're going to have to really adjust for week 3. So as I was saying, pressure, when I look at the game plan I wrote down for Green Bay, it's pretty straightforward. We must bring pressure in passing situations. We're going to have to blitz. No Cam Jordan. Our defensive line has a bunch of 72s on it right now. I mean, it's bad. And when you play that on All-Madden, that's even scarier. I think we can absolutely be very physical with the receivers. I think we can press every single one of the receivers. So that's something we're going to try to do. Maybe a little bit more cautious when we're bringing a blitz. And I'm going to start to mix in man coverage a little bit more. Even though my team's better at zone, they're clearly demonstrating maybe they're not. And so we're going to start to just kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm not sure if the game's smart enough to kind of pick up hey, Mike sits in the cover 3 pretty often. Let's rip it apart. So I'm going to really, really try to vary all of that and just see. I think for offense, we're going to be trying to run out of kind of traditional run formations because I want to keep their kind of beefier defensive tackles in at defensive tackle. They're starting defensive tackles and they're just kind of traditional D-line is They're basically 66 overalls right now. They're pretty bad. They run a 3-4, so there's just the one. But I think if we can keep, they have Akeem Hicks on this team. So if we can keep Akeem Hicks on the outside and we can keep Gary on the outside, we can try to take advantage of that on the inside. And so that was our game plan going in, is just kind of run up the middle. I think on defense, really the big thing too, or on offense, but on their defense, the big thing is going to be just avoiding Jair Alexander, who is just an absolute stud at corner. I think their depth at cornerback can be taken advantage of, because after Alexander, they have like an 80 overall corner. And then they have some guys that are like 70 to 68 to 67. So maybe there's some advantages there. Their safeties are average 73 to 75 overall. So there's some opportunities there. But again, let's get momentum going. Let's try to run the ball. And we have to make some stops on defense. We got to make these guys uncomfortable. So going to really be trying to get after Jordan Love. Quick look at the superstar X Factor players for the Packers. I mentioned Jair Alexander. Just really need to stay away from him when we can. Rashawn Gary, I mentioned, really just want to avoid kind of running outside against him. Kenny Clark, I think, was actually the defensive end I was referring to earlier. But it's the inside run. He's going to be good against that. So as I mentioned, our goal is to kind of keep him on the outside at the end position, not on the inside maybe when they're more in like a passing situation. And then again, pressure if we can on defense, because they have guys like Bakhtiari here who can, is a great left tackle, and not to mention Aaron Jones. We haven't really talked about their run game much, but I'm really hoping they just kind of don't overutilize him too much, because it's going to be tough if they get him going on top of a pass game that's been really tough for us to stop.
There's a look at one of the most iconic sports venues in the lower 48, built back in 1957 under the title of City Stadium. We are at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Today it's week 3, and we've got a go-in store, as it'll be the New Orleans Saints taking on the Green Bay Packers. So here come the Saints to take over for the first time, and here's the new man under center after 9 seasons as a Raider. Derek Carr is the guy. Kamara trying again. And he is in for the score. Touchdown, New Orleans. Alvin Kamara, his 3rd rushing touchdown of the year. And the Saints have taken the early lead. So here the new look Packers set to go to work. And at the helm here in 2023, a lot of eyes on this man in his 4th NFL season, Jordan Love. Here we go with Kamara. And boy, is he close. Did he get there? No, they're going to say he's short of the line to gain.
Rest of the bunch. This offense is really humming, and they pick up another first down.
Touchdown! Dan Arnold, his first touchdown here of the new campaign. Now Carr. And this one complete to Smith. And unable to break away. They stop him a few yards shy. The Saints' decision to go for it backfires. So they've gone for it twice now on 4th down in this game, and both times unsuccessful. Play action this time with Love. Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. Oh, one of the linebackers has got it at his that time, and ultimately got to him before he could get rid of the football and knocked it free.
And don't you feel just a little bit of sympathy for him back there, though? So much going on, so much swirling around. He's trying to
staying out there. Here we go on 4th and goal from the 1. And they'll let the fullback try and take him home. And he takes it across and into the end zone. Touchdown.
For what you're going to do throughout the ball game, and it tells your team you're planning to be there to be aggressive, and you're planning to win the game, and sometimes it's a lot of trouble.
On 1st down, Carr. He lets it go deep for Olave. It's incomplete. Took a shot, couldn't connect.
The first level, make sure that block's secured before they slide off and try and chip someone at the second level.
And he's going to have a Packers first down as they're able.
I love the drive they're working on here because they know they can take the lead with a touchdown. And so far in this drive, than that, set them up with a 1st and goal.
Here's Love. And he is going to go down. Back at the 11-yard line. So off goes Love. On is Carlson for the Packer field goal. From the left hash, a chip shot here. Oh, they flip it to the kicker. He looks like he's going to throw it. They pass up the 3. Face Saints able to come up with a goal line stand. Well, that was an intriguing call. You got now Carr. And that is incomplete, but a penalty flag coming in. This could be a first down. And his kick is indeed good. And now it's a 2-score game at 9, 16-7. 25-yard line. Off the play fake, Love. Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. And this is picked up. And he's into the end zone. A fumble return and a Saint touchdown. On 3rd down, Love. Got his man complete over the middle. It's Reed. Packers on 3rd down. 5 out of 9 thus far. This time it's 3rd and 3. They'll try and pick it up on the ground with Wilson. And he's got room. Down to the 10. Touchdown, Packers. Big 2-point conversion attempt still to come. They're going to run for it with Jones. And they will get back to within 1 score as he is into the end zone, and the lead's cut to 8 here in the 4th. They fake the handoff. Now Carr. He lets it go deep for Olave. And that will be throwing his Carr on 3rd down. That's to his running back. It's Alvin Kamara. And they work this well upfield across. Now Carr. And that will be incomplete as well. Love. Looking left side, and he's got a man. That's Arnold. And he's into the end zone. No flags. It's a touchdown. And now a 2-point conversion. And we'll be tied here in the final minute.
You got one big call left. Here we go. The touchdown's massive, but now they've got to have 2.
They're going to try and run for it. And he's going to get into the end zone. The 2-point conversion successful. And we've got ourselves a tie football game. Now Carr. Oh, look at this. It's intercepted. Rasul Douglas picks it. They'll try and run for it with Jones. And he's in for the touchdown. And in the final seconds, forget overtime. They just likely won this thing in regulation. One final try now for Carr. They'll get this out to Kamara. And this effort won't be enough as they rally up to stop him a couple of yards short. Well, it took us until the final play chart to officially decide a winner, although on that last play they were so backed up it would have taken a miracle, and they couldn't get that miracle done.
Well, I like how you stayed with it because we both knew that this had to go down to the last play, and neither side was going to exhale until that play concluded because we've seen the improbable before.
Wow, that was one of the worst losses I've had in Madden. And I don't even really know where to begin because I don't really regret much what I did. I guess maybe a tad bit conservative, but we had a pretty good lead, even going for 2 at the end. If we were to go up 24, I mean, you can see it wouldn't have mattered. There's nothing I would have really changed here. I just think our offense sputtered a little bit in places, and some of that I always kind of let the coach reshuffle my depth charts a little bit, just kind of get their input. And they actually put Jamal Williams in the starting lineup, and I think it's just because Kamara's morale is a little low, and so I was like, you know what, I kind of like that because we're trying to run the ball anyway, and let's pound it. The challenge for me was that I didn't realize how many passing formations it took him out of. Even though Kamara is the 3rd down back, Jamal Williams was in a lot, and Williams isn't. He's pretty below average kind of as a pass catcher, but of course compared to Kamara, it's a huge difference. So it did impact a lot of what I wanted to do on offense. But again, not making excuses, it did kind of impact kind of what we were doing here. But I mean, we gave up 23 points in the 4th quarter. Like, that's an absolute monumental collapse. But we forced more turnovers. Like, our defensive game plan worked. We just had the one turnover we had was just at the most terrible time possible in this game. 3rd downs, they were, again, really efficient. That's just something our defense is just struggling with. I mean, we were shutting them down. We did a really good job. 3rd downs were still a challenge. Penalties pretty even. I mean, our game plan worked. Like everything we wanted to do, offense and defense. Derek Carr was playing really well. He was like 22 or 20 of like 23 at one point in this game, and then just again we had to really start adjusting things and cost us. He was still 70%, but I mean that interception was just a killer. 2 touchdowns for Love, who again didn't really even play that great, but it's just he took advantage of opportunities. Their run game held in check pretty well. That one long run for the touchdown that really kind of started swinging the momentum for them. Williams, we committed to just trying. Maybe this is one of the stories of the game, is like this was a focal point on offense and just couldn't do anything, not even 2 yards a carry. So super disappointing. Not like Kamara did much better today. And so, yeah, what do you do? It's tough too, because in Madden you start to get really behind the 8 ball with like morale and stuff like this, and it's going to impact it. So we threw to Kamara a lot. That was by design. I wanted to be really quick with their pass rush and whatnot. I wanted to use quick passing. I didn't want to go near Jair Alexander. So we really tried to make Kamara a focal point of the pass game, even in his limited, I guess, depth chart role. Smith, okay game. Got Jawan Johnson more involved this week. But you notice who isn't on here at all. Chris Olave, 0 catches. So that's going to impact things for sure. Kamara had a pretty bad drop there in the 4th. We may have had a first down. It was like 3rd and 10. I just kind of ran 4 verts. And then just to kind of kick it out to him a little bit on one of those little up and out routes. And just dropped it. I mean, if he made one move, he would have had a first down. So, woulda, shoulda, coulda, as they say. A couple sacks. I think they both came second half, I think. But luckily, we finally got to the quarterback today. 4 sacks for us. So that's awesome. Broke up 2 passes. I did not throw in the coverage much today. Again, there was 1. And then the interception. And the interception, I still don't think it was a bad throw. I thought it was Olave on the route. Maybe that impacted things. It was Smith. Would have liked to seen him kind of go for that ball, because like one-on-one with Olave on their corners I'm good with, but their second corner is decent. And so again, I just misread the jersey number there. Just wasn't paying attention, but still, it's not, I didn't throw it into like double, triple coverage or anything. So, oh yeah, just a bummer. 2 sacks for them. Yeah, Rasul Douglas is their corner too. So he just, play the game. Made a great play. So, yeah, tough loss. All right, guys, so week 4, let me talk you through my game plan. Again, we're getting to know this team a little bit more, and we're able to kind of start moving a few things around here. I mean, basically, first thing I'm really looking at is I like to go in and look at the injury report for the team. Of course, you can see our injuries there. We're just getting a little dinged up, so we want to be really careful with practice as you go through your franchise. They are missing Mike Evans, which is going to help us. They're missing their center, Ryan Jensen, who looks like he was hurt in real life. So it's going to help to have Evans out. That kind of looks like it might be a practice injury, which you'll notice the CPU gets their practice injuries at the start of the week. So it kind of gives you kind of an insight into what's happening there. As far as their depth chart, I mean, they have their offense is bad. Famous last words, right? Especially with this franchise, but like I'm not terribly worried about it. You got Baker Mayfield. I mean, the running backs aren't really anything to worry about. I mean, they have Godwin, of course. And so that's going to be kind of our primary focus, is keeping Lattimore locked on him with an overall set. Meaning just I'm going to have it set to kind of match up against the overall, highest overall. And so after that, though, it's pretty bleak. I mean, there's some speed in Palmer, so we'll keep an eye on 10. But I think we can even bully these guys around a lot with their releases. I mean, Lattimore is a really good press. We probably don't need the press Godwin. I don't think we need to try and... I think we can almost survive with a bend but don't break defense, even though that's not really what I want to do. Their offensive line's not bad. It's probably better than our defensive line right now. There is a little bit of a weakness there at right tackle, but again, we don't really have anyone to exploit it. Their defense is not very good outside of Vita Vea, so we will try our best to run away from him, which means I'm not going to be game planning up the middle. I'm also not going to be game planning to outside run, even though I think that's where there's some weaknesses there, because I'm just not comfortable running outside, especially with guys like Jamal Williams and things like that. And so, but I will end up game planning for either like blitz protection or one of the pass depths, I guess. And so that will kind of free us up so that we're not penalized for running. We'll just kind of see what works. Outside of that, of course, they got Shaq Barrett, they got Levante David, so those are good players. So is Devin White. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on them. But outside of that, I mean, their top 4 secondary is good. So they got Dean, Davis the third. They got Winfield Jr. and they got Neal. So those they're good, but where it kind of gets bad for them is beyond that, right? So maybe there's some mismatches here with their slot corners. They're not great. Again, it's not like we have like 6 receivers who are super good or anything, but they're defensive players. I feel like we can try to really work around them. We did that the last few weeks, and it's been okay. Again, offense has not been our problem, and so hopefully we can work around that. One thing I need to keep an eye on, they do have Chris Godwin in the slot, so I have a note on that just to kind of keep an eye on him. What I really want to try to work on this week, I'm actually going to go into practice before this game and kind of work on some cover one man. Even though it's not what our team's built for, I want to see if I can get some just better production out of our defense by doing some cover one man and kind of making some coverage adjustments and things like that. So I'm going to test it out and see if it's any good. And we'll find out. But I feel like this is a winnable game. It's kind of famous last words here, but that's what we're hoping for here against the Bucs here in week 4. As far as game planning against Tampa Bay, we are going to defend the medium pass, even though it's not really a strength of theirs. It's just such a weakness of ours that's literally the game plan, is just to try and get that plus intermediate pass coverage boost. I'm not thrilled about losing some of that run support, but they don't really run the ball. It seems like the AI very much. Short pass coverage, again, that kind of works to Baker Mayfield's advantage. But I think if they have to kind of dink and dunk down the field, the game plan is that hopefully we can contain that, especially with man coverage. But again, that's not our strength, but we're going to roll with that. I want to talk about player health. I've mentioned before, I'm at 98% fatigue. That's not good. Don't let that confuse you. They're getting tired. So we're going half pads. I don't believe there's any adjustments here that I need to make from last week. We don't have any like carryover injuries on the defense here. And so kind of business as usual here. But I do kind of check on these, especially based on injuries, to make some adjustments, whether we want backups or starters. On the offensive side, we're going to go with the throw it short game plan for our offense. And even though that gives us the faster pocket degradation, I am okay with that because I think we can manipulate those inside corners. If we kind of spread them out, we get that nickel and dime back on the field. There's some mismatches there. And so I think kind of having better short routes and things, like think of those just, double moves and things like that can really kind of get those guys open, even on short routes. Those are good, kind of catch and take what you can get after the catch. And so it's going to work. It doesn't look like they defend it all that well. They don't blitz a ton, 27% blitz rate. And as I mentioned, as much as I love game planning run inside. It's just such a good fallback. But Vita Vea worries me, and I don't want to get that penalty for running outside, and vice versa. I still want to be able to run inside for like third and shorts, things like that, if we need to. But even that's a little scary against them. As far as player health, offense is at 99. That's kind of my threshold. I will still let them go full pads here. So 99 or 100 will go full pads. Otherwise, I am going half pad. I may have mentioned earlier, but I do let my coach kind of set the depth charts for the most part. I keep an eye on it. I certainly strategize around it. And the only change this week, and it's not injury related, is Juwan Johnson's been demoted from first string tight end down to third. Again, don't read into that. That's not really the AI making a decision like that. It's mostly just based on Johnson's overall, based on his morale and things like that. But I like to think of it as like, hey, you know what? He's upset. Maybe we're going to give Foster Moreau here a look, who's played okay. I mean, they're obviously very comparable players. So that's the only change with our lineup. All right, guys, let's focus. Let's get our first win.
We are just outside of the Hoppin' French Quarter at the Caesar Superdome. Today it's week 4, and we've got what should be a great one here, as it'll be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints. So here are the Buccaneers ready to go on offense with a new man at the helm here for 2023 in his 6th season now in the NFL, Baker Mayfield. Going with White here, toss left, and he is going to be stopped cold behind the line of scrimmage. So here come the Saints to take over for the first time, and here's the new man under center after 9 seasons as a Raider. They'll try again now, 3rd and long. Working out of the gun, Mayfield. And he's going to be sacked. They sack him back right at the midfield stripe. From the gun, it's Carr. And he's going to be brought down. Back at his own 6-yard line. To throw his Carr. Oh, the Buccaneer pressure too much. Down he goes. Here's another 1st and 10. Mayfield on play action. Blitz coming, and down he goes. Alontae Taylor. It'll be a 47-yard attempt from the left hash. And And this is right down the middle.
People to the football and snuffed out the play.
He's got his target. That's complete. On 3rd and long, it's Carr. Flush to his right. An off-balance throw there, and it's going to wind up incomplete.
He's in front of him, and I think that discouraged him from taking off and made him try a pass down.
The 8. Going to the air again with Mayfield. That's taken in by Palmer. And finally down he goes, making an impact. Throwing, Mayfield. And it'll be intercepted. Marcus May with a pick. And the Saints force the turnover, and they'll take over at the 10.
Not at all, because, look, let's face it, that close to the goal line.
So we've reached halftime in a low-scoring affair, just a pair of field goals, 3-3. And they'll fake the jet sweep there and instead hand it to Kamara. And good vision there as he's across.
Always think to themselves, just hang in there. I'm just one big carry away from busting this open. That's a good start for him.
And he gets this one in.
Maybe get this group in gear.
From the gun, it's a run for Kamara. And he'll take this into the end zone. Now, hold on here. We do have a flag down. So let's see what this is about.
Holding, offense.
Now Carr. And that is caught. But he will come down out of bounds, says the sign judge. Incomplete. Not happy, so he has thrown the challenge flag. They're taking a peek at whether or not those feet were in bounds, and obviously a big call here in the end zone.
After review of the play, the ruling on the field stays.
So the decision to challenge does not pan out.
So unfortunately, we're going to have to go for a field goal, and even more unfortunate is that I experienced that Madden field goal glitch that comes after a timeout or maybe after a challenge, and it's a bummer because I had to just kind of play through it. One of the goals I have in this franchise is to kind of keep a schedule of integrity that I want to show you all later. Well, I will have played all 17 games just one time, no restarts, and so just had to live with this, but I tried my best. It's not going to be good. And you know what happens? Kickers miss kicks in real life that are short. We see this in simulated games, so I'm okay with it, and I'm just going to have to live with it and move on.
Mayfield with it once more. Able to find the open man. That's complete.
First and goal.
Mayfield now looking to throw on first down. Now the pressure gets there, and he goes down. Back even further. To throw, Mayfield. And he holds it in for a Buccaneer touchdown. Well, here we go. Maybe the biggest kick of the game forthcoming. This to make it a 2-score game. Oh, they get to the football. It's blocked.
Love the effort there. I mean, to get a field goal block in this situation because they knew what was going on. They give up those 3 points there. It's now a 2-possession game.
Yeah, that really changes the complexion here in the second half, doesn't it? Chances. This will be 3rd and 5. He's got his target. That's complete. And he is going to have a Bucs first down as they're able to get the 3rd down conversion. From the shotgun, it's Mayfield. Work in the middle of the field, and he's got a man complete. Here's Mayfield. And he's got it. Caught in the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. On 3rd down, here's Williams. And he is in for the score. Touchdown, New Orleans. Recovery, the touchdown, and an extra point to tie. And the Buccaneers able to recover. Their hands team does its job.
In the mind of the play caller, all you want to hear is tick, tick, tick.
That is intercepted. Picked off by Marshawn Lattimore. Down the right sideline. And he will take this one home. It's a touchdown. Well, that's what you get, apparently, when you try to take on a Pro Bowl cornerback. And what a play there to make the interception and also bring it back.
Ain't any momentum throwing the ball downfield.
That's caught by Paul.
In no hurry to run a play the clock wind down.
Mayfield. Throw left side, hold it. They'll go up the middle with White. The Bucs going to go ahead and use this. And now this game's going to come down to the right leg of their kicker. This will be from 53 for the win. And his kick is indeed good. And it's celebration time on that sideline as they have taken the lead in the final seconds.
The low, but his line does a nice job of protecting. And he's able to convert for 3.
Well, this one, partner, was fun down to the very end. They got the points late, right before the whistle. Then the ensuing kickoff. They were hoping for magic on the other side, but couldn't get that spark.
Well, of course, I'm upset we lost, but collectively, I'm actually really happy with how the defense played, especially. The changes we made worked. We played a lot of cover one, and it really paid off. We didn't blitz a ton, and we were able to force a couple turnovers and get a couple sacks there on Baker Mayfield. And so, you know, what hurts here is our offense really didn't come to play, and that's on me. I just didn't execute a game plan really well. I had a decent, actually, I don't even like the game plan. I didn't have a good game plan, and I didn't execute even a bad game plan well. You can see the passing yards was pretty rough. I mean, we held them under 400 yards, which is an accomplishment, but yeah, I don't know. It's just not great. Look at some of this other stuff here. I mean, total yardage was probably closer than it seemed, and we had a +2 in the turnover category. What continues to hurt us this year is third downs. We're not great offensively, and we're terrible defensively. We have to be the worst in the league at this, and we just got to make some changes there. And so, yeah, disappointing. Penalties didn't hurt us this time. Maybe I should have used more aggressive holding, but nonetheless, yeah, it's just a bummer. Just a game that we really should have, I don't know, should have been able to win. We just let it get out of control too early. I mean, only scoring 3 points in the first half, but got to give kudos to the defense who played really well. And like I said, just that one penalty. And I just regret not really using aggressive blocking this week. Looking over at the player stats, we have Baker Mayfield, who had a nice game. But still, 2 interceptions. He still outplayed Derek Carr, though. We didn't turn the ball over. But the yards per attempt are about half of what they usually are for him. So just way too conservative. And just, I don't know, I was trying to exploit a lot of those short passes with Kamara. I was trying to exploit their bad corner 3 and corner 4, and it just, the matchups weren't there, and it was confusing. I felt confused a lot of the game on offense, truthfully. And so we ran the ball really well, actually better than I thought, and I kind of regret not doing this more. We didn't give Jamal Williams a carry until the second quarter. And so maybe we should have just stuck with our team identity, which is kind of just being balanced, running the ball, not being afraid of someone like Vita Vea, even though he's a great player. I mean, we clearly were able to run the ball a little bit here, and I wish I had just paid more attention to that. So, bit of a bummer there. They had a really nice run game. Rachaad White, 23 carries, 93 yards. And again, played pretty well, 4 yards per attempt. That's probably the most I've seen the AI run this year. Receiving for them, this is the story here. Trey Palmer. I mean, what the heck? This guy's like a 68 overall. He just played like an all-pro today. 7 catches, 125, 17.8 yards per reception. And he had a touchdown. You know, we did okay against Godwin. Just 5 catches, 39 yards. So good job, Lattimore. Had the huge interception there. Unbelievable. Such a Baker Mayfield play. So that was pretty amazing. My dog is over there gagging at how bad Baker Mayfield's throw was on that play. So, yeah, it's rough. And so, yeah, we did okay. I mean, the defense really played well. Here we spread the ball around okay. Chris Olave has 1 catch for 33 yards in 2 weeks. He didn't have anything last week. So Kamara, again, probably maybe tried to force those mismatches a little bit more. They just weren't always there. And I don't know, still trying to figure out the identity on this team. I think we're going to get back Michael Thomas this week, so maybe that can kind of get us back to our base. We're not going to have to use someone like Robbie Chosen as much, who I like, but he's more a complimentary player. So definitely could spread the ball around a little bit. We did get sacked 3 times. Vita Vea got us twice. Again, that's part of the story here. We sacked Mayfield twice. And so, again, defense did their job. Really happy with that. Really happy to see. I probably threw in the coverage too many times there. It was 4 times, just 1 for them. But, again, collectively, good job defense. All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 2. Episode 3, we're going to be, of course, looking at the next 4 games and just kind of where do we go from here as an 0-4 team.
We're going to be talking about the salary cap woes of this team because we have some big problems we need to sort out, especially with the trade deadline looming. And then we'll be looking at scouting. We're an 0-4 team. Time to really start looking at that. So guys, I'm Mike Lowe. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video. I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47, and I'll see you for episode 3.